Right. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Good night. Whenever you're watching this, thank you very much for joining us. This is our 10-minute look at the weekend that was. This is the review show right here on Positively Ole Miss. So I'm going to talk about the major storylines of the week, try to keep it to about 10 minutes to where you can tell people what's going on and basically sound intelligent and also have fun. So you know what to look forward to for week 3, and you also have a nice review for week 2. We're going to get into the playoff rankings shortly, but as of right now, they are iffy at best, and I'll explain that why. Because we're at a point where college football is dangerously close. I mean, perilously close to chaos. With Ohio State already losing, with Clemson already losing, that's half of last year's top 4 going down. Alabama is still standing. Notre Dame has not looked good. That's the 3rd team from last year's top 4. Florida State, they needed overtime to beat Florida State. They almost lost to Toledo. They're probably not where they need to be. Probably not where they need to be. And that is important to recognize as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and where we see this going down the road, because we are a Georgia loss and an Alabama loss away from this slipping into chaos. It is easy to have four teams whenever there's far and away the best team out there. But if those teams lose a game, if those teams are not what we expect them to be, then chaos is going to reign. And look at our playoff rankings for the time being. Look at who's in. We've got Georgia coming in at number 1. They look like far and away the most complete team at this point. Alabama looks all right, but I have concerns about their offense. I mentioned it after Miami, that take away a couple of explosive plays and they would have gotten like 350 yards in that game. Well, they barely got 400 or just under 400 against Mercer, had over 100 yards in penalties, and didn't exactly look great. Now, that is a benefit to Nick Saban. He can basically yell at his team and get them ready to go. Same thing Ole Miss can do, but you'd rather do that after a big win than a loss. But that is the reason they are 2. Oklahoma's in 3 because they are winning games and because everybody else is losing them. Simple as that. They have not looked particularly good. There's a danger of them falling off as this goes on. So that is them at 3. At 4, I've got Cincinnati. Everybody's like, well, they're a G5 team. They're a G5 team. Yeah, but they're winning and doing what they're supposed to do. I know they struggled early against Murray State, but they ended up closing out and winning a 42-49 7 game. But it was 7-7 at halftime. But they were able to pull it together. Unlike Notre Dame, unlike Texas A&M, who's number 6, who's only there at this point because I don't have anybody to replace them with. That is the reason Texas A&M is 6th right now. I don't have anybody to replace them with. I don't want to put Clemson up there because Clemson's already dropped it. Notre Dame's looked terrible. Iowa State lost. Do I jump Iowa up from 10? Maybe next week. Penn State up from 11, possibly. Oregon, I'm not going to put them in the playoff rankings after they were 12th. I think 5th is a good spot for them. Although against Ohio State's got problems. They might lose another game this year. They genuinely have issues. Oregon looked pretty good though. I enjoyed seeing it, but they have defensive issues too, and I don't see them going undefeated in the Pac-12. So if you're keeping score at home and you assume that these teams are the far and away most likely to go undefeated, you have Ohio State already with a loss, Clemson already with a loss. Oregon, I do not expect them to go undefeated. Either one of Georgia and Alabama is likely going to lose because they're going to play each other in the SEC championship game. If the other drops a game during the season, now all of a sudden you can see the problem that is existing in college football and the chaos that could develop. We have a 2007 type situation that is building up at the moment. and I'm looking forward to that. So that is the playoff rankings after week 2, according to the show. And everything is based off of rankings, and they're based off of this week's isolated things. They have nothing really to do with polls. They have nothing to do with anything other than performance and where they were the last week. I mean, I don't want to take somebody that was 12th and put them in the playoff. That's the reason Oregon's 5th. That's about as high as I'm willing to do. There's no such thing as a 5-0 sailor type thing. But do want to get to some other things. There's a potential for a good bit of chaos in college football, and I'm excited about that. There's a potential for a 2007 type season, and the first chance of that coming up is October 2nd, I believe. Ole Miss in Tuscaloosa. I like that offense. I like the way they look. I like the way they play. It's a confident group of guys. I expect them anywhere when the polls come out to be between 15 and 18. So they're in position to make noise. They're not really in position to threaten that number yet, but after Tulane, if everything happens, if everything continues and they beat Tulane, they're looking at 12 or 13th in the country. And then you have Bama. That's a win over Alabama will absolutely move them into about 7th, and they're in the conversation with Texas A&M left, with LSU left, and a bunch of winnable games. So just keep that in mind. Don't plan on it. Don't do anything like that. But it's okay to put that in the back of your mind because it absolutely can happen. Also, Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State got the victory over Florida State. I'm going to bring up the score in just a second. It was an unbelievable finish. Now, Jacksonville State won 20-17. Now, everybody, Jacksonville State winning, that freaks Ole Miss fans out because 11 years ago, Jacksonville State came to Oxford and won the game in like double or triple overtime. This one will replace that one as the game that they always talk about. They won on a Hail Mary that wasn't really a Hail Mary. It wasn't throw it down to a bunch of guys. It was literally, let's throw the bomb against 2 defenders. You catch it. I'm going to say break a tackle, but that was absolutely a pitiful tackle attempt. It's almost like he didn't want to interfere with him, so he let him catch the ball. Then just make the tackle. Grab onto him. Austin Peay did a better job tackling last night than Florida State did on that play. That number 3 should be ashamed of himself. It legitimately cost his team the ball game. So Florida State's 0-2. Now, Nebraska, Florida State, Tennessee, Michigan, Miami, those schools should band together and become the former Power 5. It's amazing how those blue bloods have fallen. And remember, I've said there's no such thing as blue bloods. Those guys prove there are no such thing as blue bloods. And what a blue blood is, and what the assumption is that you won't drop off for long if you go there. It's a place that's almost a guaranteed win factor. You go to Nebraska, you're going to pick it right up. Nebraska's struggling. They only put 28 points on Buffalo, and that's without Lance Leopold, who has Kansas. Talent-wise, they're deficient, but you can see what they're doing. They got a nice quarterback. So I'm pretty excited about that. Mississippi State, by the way, looked pretty good. It was the return of the Zach Arnett defense that we saw last year, and they were able to put it together and won the game 24-10. I'm actually pretty excited about that Mississippi State result. It shows some life and shows the Mike Lee system is kind of starting to catch on. Because with that defense, you just need to put some points on the board. You don't need to necessarily be explosive. You just need to be consistent and hard to stop. If they can get 24 points on the board every game, they're going to be in every game. Florida, Anthony Richardson went out with it looked like a hamstring after an 80-yard touchdown. He is the better of the 2 quarterbacks. He is better than Emory Jones. I think Emory Jones is going to continue to start. And they're going to hope that Anthony Richardson is okay by the Alabama game this weekend. Big game this weekend. When what replaced the Florida-Tennessee game that we all are used to from our childhood. Big game this weekend, Florida and Tennessee. And also, before I get out of here, congratulations to the Arkansas Razorbacks beating number 15 Texas and proving once again that they are in fact not back at the moment, and that is okay. They just completely dominated the game. That defense, that drop 8 3-6-1 defense, or 3-2-6 defense, 3-6-1 that'd be a soccer thing. But 3-2-6 defense against a freshman quarterback is absolutely hell. And look on that. Spoiler alert. October 2nd, Bryce Young. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be real small windows, and it's going to be tough on your quarterbacks. So, all right. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to put this up at 6 o'clock, and we're going to start doing this Sundays at 6 o'clock. And talking about all kinds of football and what's going on in the major storylines of the weekends. The main things to take away from this is chaos is coming to college football. Congratulations to the Arkansas Razorbacks. And what the heck was the Florida State defensive back thinking as Jacksonville State scored that touchdown? Last play of the game. So thank you very much. And as always, hotty toddy, and we'll see you next time.